Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and build update number 5 of the 1934 Ford pickup truck, tow truck. It's an AMT and it's loaded with options. So let me move the guys out of the way and we'll get jumping right in because we got a lot done this week, or this past day or so. We move everything out of the way here and we'll start from one end and work our way back. As you can see, the frame got weathered just like I said I would. I did a bunch of dry brushing. I used, let's see here if I can find it. I used Tamiya's XF60 and I used Tamiya's X9 brown on this. They worked really well together and gave me a nice dirty underside. I still left the engine and everything fairly clean because, I mean, it's in a shop and these guys aren't going to want to mess around. But the underside, I gave it a pretty good shot of weathering, just back and forth. Like I said, I forgot to do the weathering before I added the suspension, so I had to work my way around a bunch of nooks and crannies, but it worked out all right, and I'm very happy with that. So let me move that out of the way, and we'll jump right into the bed. The bed got weathered because, I mean, it's a work truck. Even though it is the Texaco shop truck, it's going to get dirty, it's going to get beat up, and it's been around for a while. But I think that came out real well. Again, I used the dry brush in here, back and forth. I also used my Tamiya's Weathermaster D. I used the oil stain in there, and I just used a little foam pad and just pushed it around and gave it some oil marks here and there and everywhere. And on top of where the oil marks were, to make a couple of them a little more prominent, I came back over that with a very light tab of the accent black. And I think that really looks good. And honestly, I think the camera's making it look heavier than it is in real life. It's weathered, but it's not like just a slob truck. They've wiped it down and kept it clean, and they've sanded the boards before and made it look good. On the bottom side, I got hit pretty heavy too because, I mean, road debris and stuff like that's going to come up and it's going to dirty it up. So we weathered that out. I did do the top of the rails here and there with the Tamiya's silver, the gunmetal and the silver, just on the sharp edges where it's going to wear out across the back and here and there. And I glued the tailgate on now, so it's ready to go. And that's that. And I was going to do wheels next, but since we're talking about the bed, let's jump right in here to the tow assembly. I weathered it, got it looking where I wanted it. I mounted the lights with the LEDs already glued into place inside, and then I ran the wires in and down the frame rails to hide them. They'll go in. My plan is to have them go in. I'm going to drill holes in the bed so they'll drop down into the bed, then they'll come back where the battery box is going to be, and they'll come up into the battery itself, and that'll look really good. I don't want to bounce these around too much because I just put those light lenses on the top with quick shine. But I do want to show you how these things are going to look because they're bright. So we got, these are going to light up nice. I'll tie everything together to where both lights will come on at the same time along with the headlights. But I'm not going to try to make these come on and the headlights come on differently or in a different way. But I finally came up with a cool idea for the battery box. And it's going to put this kit on hold for about a week because I had to order stir sticks. And that's as far as we're going with that, except for this battery that goes, in the back. It doesn't go for the truck itself. It's kind of like a jumper battery. That's going to kind of go with the battery box. And that's all we're going to talk about there, except for I did weather those caps that I just did the flat white on. I hit with the Tamiya's, if I can find it, there it is. Tamiya's accent panel gray, and that brought out a lot of the highlights and all those real nice details that were put in there for the ribs and the vents for the caps. And there's the battery. So the next thing, I got my dash inserted and the steering wheel, and it's just about got eaten up. You can hardly see it in there. I took a picture with the flash. This is it. I'm happy with it. It really looks good in there, but with all the black, it just gone. But it's there. It went in well. There's no positive spot for it to kind of go. So I just brought it up to the underside of the window trim and left it at that. The seat and interior are now weathered. I hope you can see that. And you know what? Let me turn this bright one off a little bit and see if that helps. And I don't think it did. But I used my pastel chalks to make the seat look a little bit worn and the floorboard more where he sits than where Jake's going to be sitting. But it's good now. It looks really good, and it's going to look really good inside. I've already had it inside the body, and I'm happy with the way that's going to lay out and disappear. And while we're still talking about weathering, the bottom of the frame got a shot of weathering. Really easy. I did that with a dry brush on everything else, so it worked out really well. And I used pastel chalks to weather the vent here, or the louvers a little bit on this, just to highlight them a little bit more. Both sides. I put it on there, wiped it off, and that just left the recesses. I didn't want to use the panel liner because it did go in here pretty deep, and I had a heck of a time getting it out of there. So the pastels were the way to go with the louvers, to darken them up, dirty them up a bit, and still leave the red show through. So while we're still talking about weathering, because it's been a busy weather day, I weathered the tires, and usually I'll scuff them with sandpaper and knock them down pretty good. But these tires were so well molded that they had no mold line on them. And I didn't want to knock down this tread pattern because it is really, really nice. Not sure if you can see it or not, but it is a very good tread pattern. So what I did is I just took my pastel chalks, and I held these in between my two fingers, and I ran them back and forth, letting it spin across the pastel. I used the tan here, and the brown and the black, and going back and forth, and I do it, and then I take my finger and kind of wipe it a little bit just to get it to where it, well, here. This is all I did, and then you can see it loads up on there, and I just take my finger and lightly go across it and knock it off of the tread and push it down inside there a little bit. And that worked out good. I did that on 4 because this one's going to be the one that goes on the side, and that wasn't on the road. So it didn't need done. My crank, on my Facebook page, there's a link to how to do wood grain. And I talked about this before, but this crank shows what I wanted to do. And what I did is I made the center look like wood, so you have a place to grab and crank up the chain. And I was going to make a winch box and things like that for it, but I really like keeping the kits as close to original as I can. And this was designed in there, so I left it in there. It just made it look as good as I can. Where these snap in right here, I think I'm going to do maybe titanium gold or maybe even copper or something like that, just to make it look more like there's mechanism in there, where maybe this is turning in the center and turning gears so the outside turns with less force, like you can crank easier to make more force inside. And that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I just like the way it was all put together, and it was a pretty cool idea. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And with that, I told you I was going to make the trophy out of the jack. And all I did was I drilled a hole in the bottom, put the jack in it. I had to cut the flat part of the jack off, and I put it in there, and then just with a little bit of super glue, filed everything down pretty good, and then hit that with a Molotov pen, and it came out pretty good. It'll look good on a shelf in there. I mean, it's not something you're going to hold up to your face and go, ah, that's okay. But it'll look good inside there with the other trophy, with this one. So between the two of them, it'll give a little bit of life on one of the shelves that I build. Now, I took the gas can. I like it here on the fender, but I didn't like that it was just laying on a fender. I mean, it's going to fly off. So I took a piece of Tamiya tape and I cut it down, and I made a strap and belt and buckle with it to where it buckles onto the side of the car here and goes around, so when you pop that buckle, you can take it off, but it won't go flying off in the middle of the road. And that's just easy peasy stuff there. I put just a teeniest drop of super glue behind that tape so that tape is on there permanent. And then what I did is I taped it onto the can in the front, left this side run wild, put the can in, glued the can in place. Then I took that with my tweezers, and I found a place where, because if you look, it's not tight up against the can, because it wouldn't be. The can's getting pinned in, but in order to do that, I had to leave that off a little bit and then just glue it in there. And then I just painted the buckle with flat aluminum and flat black in the center. And it looks really good on there, I think. I mean, it needed a strap. So, and a lot of times I'm surprised, because a lot of times those are molded on. Again, the engine and everything is looking good. This will drop on here very well. I'm waiting to do this until my headlights are dry. I glued the LED, just like I said. I used super glue and glued the LED onto the chrome bezel in the back. And then I ran it through both of those holes and out. I used some Mod Podge to hold this in onto the plastic. And that'll give the headlights, they'll grab, the wires will go through, the Mod Podge won't off gas and mess up the chrome on the outside. The outside, that little dab of glue I used to glue the LEDs, what it off gases inside there and dulls out, when I hit this with quick shine to put the light lens on there, that'll bring that back to life, and then I'll be able to use that quick shine too to glue the light lens on. Then you put a little quick shine over the top, and that'll bring the lenses to look like they're glass lenses. That quick shine does an amazing job to bring those lenses to life. Now these wires that are exposed, I'm going to hit with Mod Podge on both sides, and I'll paint them with black, just so that they look like they're wrapped wire. And then underneath here, where this little hole is on both sides, I'm going to hit that with Mod Podge too, and black. And it'll look like that black, I'll use the rubber black on that. And it'll look like that black boot that goes in there to keep water out. And I'll do that on this one too. And the main reason for that is because if you don't, you'll have a laser beam of LED light coming out that little hole on the bottom there. So let me show you these, because I'm really happy here. These are going to look awesome. If I can get it to light. There we go. Nice light. It's a white light. I ran out of the off-white ones that I've been using. So now I'm using these. These are much smaller and easier to control too. So I'll trade that off with the little more harsh light than and the size over the bigger LED and that warm white glow. So it is what it is. I know I'd rather have that warm glow on this age of a car, but I needed that small LED to fit up in all these holes, because the other ones, this wire is so much thicker that it's just a hassle to try to run it. So my next step is I'll get the lenses glued on this tomorrow, and then I'm going to let everything sit for a couple of days. And what I'll probably do is I'll put this in the box and move it out of the way, and I'll pull the air compressor out for the Texaco station, and I'll do a build on the air compressor and maybe the lift on that too, because I'm going to need a couple of days for those stir sticks to come in so I can build the battery box. And I think that's going to look really cool when I'm done, but we'll see. It'll either look really cool or I'll do something different. But anyhow, this is going to be kind of a short video. I think we're only like 16, 17 minutes into it. But at this point, I have to stop, because once I get these holes drilled in here, this is all gonna go together until I get the battery box in. But I have to run these lights down and through before I can glue this on. And then once these lights are glued in place, this will get glued on, and everything else will fall in too at the same time, because I'll need those wires to come up through the bed for the battery box and to wire everything together. So this will be my last build update for this until I get the battery box. And then I'll bring you back for that one, and I'll show you the finalize of how I'm going to light this. But seriously, doing these LEDs are very simple. I mean, it's just 2 wires and a CR2032 battery. Run the wires where they're hidden. That's your decision. Wherever you want to make them go away. I'm going to run mine down the fender, across, and then in between the gap between the frame and the body. It seems like it's going to fit real nice there. And then back here, I'll cross over and I'll pop up into the back of the bed right where I want it. I want it to come in right about here. And that's out of the way of this, but still gives me room to work, because I can pull back into where the battery goes, because that battery takes up that much room without anything. And then you got this in there too. So I'm kind of limited with what I do. And like I said, I'm going to have to drill 2 holes for these wires to go in. Then I'm going to have to bring them up into the same holes that these 2 wires go through. So we got a little bit of work to go here yet. And but when you come back, I should have the whole body assembled and everything, just getting ready to do the wires. So there we go with that. I will let you go. Grandpa Mark's Hobbies. You all have a great day and a better tomorrow. Thank you for watching.